So as some of you are aware, my wife and I bought a flock of tiny dinosaurs this past spring. We've been feeding them lots of squash. Our goal with the squash is to cut back on how much we use for feed that we actually have to put out money and pay for. I just go around to people that I know that garden and I ask them, hey, do you have any big squash or zucchini that you're not going to be eating, or did you have anything that froze? And I bring them and feed them to my chickens. That's just a way to cut back on feed. And on top of that, I mean, that feeds us through the eggs, and there's a lot of nutrients in the squash. One update I wanted to give that you guys probably haven't seen is the black pipe here. This is actually how I feed our chickens, so we don't have to get in and mess with a feeder. I need to get an actual lid for this, but I just put the feed right through here, right through the pipe. You could probably look down and see some feed. And that goes down and comes out, well, you can't quite see it right there, but kind of. The nice part about this feeder, I've seen plenty of these online. You can buy one like for $30. I was able to build that one. There's a better view of it. For cheap stuff out of the Habitat for Humanity restore store here locally in Logan, cost me about $8, and the ones that are commercially made for this like this are like $35. But what I like about this feeder is when we put in the expensive chicken laying feed, the chickens can't dig it out and spill it all over the place, and so they pretty much just eat it right in there, so we're not getting a lot of waste. Not that waste to me is a huge deal, because it ends up in my compost bin and eventually composts down and adds another ingredient to my compost, but I'd rather run it through the dinosaurs gizzards first to make sure that it's getting ground down nice and fine, makes it easier to break down in here. It also gives them food and energy to supply us with eggs. And this is the one piece that I really like about it. Got a chicken right there. But this is my egg thing, and they roll down right here, and we dig them out, clean them out every now and then because they get filled full of poop or other things. But that's how we get our eggs, so we don't have to go into the chicken coop as well. My wife loves it. I think it works great too. Our little boy likes it too. But I'm probably going to go through and do a clean out. I threw down some leaves in there just to kind of mix in with their poop, so it's not right on the right directly on the ground. So when I go to clean it out, it comes up with the leaves. The other thing that I am going to do today, and I'll take a couple snapshots of it, I'm actually going to be putting in wood chips covering up to the 2x4s, and the wood chips there will allow them to dig through things, and it will also make it so when the winter comes and there's lots of water getting down on here, they're not walking through mud. It will just be on the frozen wood chips, and then in the fall or in the spring when I go to clean it out, I'll just take those wood chips and throw them directly into the compost bin, maybe the top 2 or 3 inches. Well, I guess there's only going to be 2 or 3 inches. And then mix that in with other green materials. But that's my plan for today. We're going to get cheap wood chips from our local dump. They're selling them for $5 a yard, which is a lot more than I need. But I have a lot of plans for them. I'm going to take and put them back along this fence. Right, what I've been doing with this fence is basically letting the chickens dig it up and putting down stuff that will make worms and other things grow, and then the chickens go and play in it, and they eat the bugs to help lower the cost of the feed. But that's this next big project, and it's going to be fun. Still would really like this coal pile to get moved out of here. I've been trying to give it away to people because I can't use it. So any friends that live locally that see this that need coal, I got 2 piles you can have it for free. Just come and move it out. So these are the beds that the potatoes were in. We didn't get as many out of it as I'd hoped, but I also found out that I kind of did it wrong. And I'm going back and forth whether I want to try to do that method again. But what we've been doing is just letting the chickens come through. They've been eating all the bugs out of it. And what I might do is take all this soil, which is a high percentage of compost, lift that out and just right up onto the sidewalk, throw down the cardboard, throw the soil back, throw the compost on top of it, and then start stacking leaves. And if I could get some straw. This one, I feel like if I'm going to do the same thing, I need to dig out the dirt. That's what I did over there last year. I dug the dirt out to down just to the edge of the sidewalk and put cardboard down. Kept the old roots from coming up and did fairly good. So I think I might do that again. Oh, the big reason why, or I just might throw the wood chips down in here. I'm going to get a yard of them. I'm going to have to deal with them. But the big thing I talked about with the wood chips in the back, that's mainly to keep the cats from pooping in there. We have some stray cats that like to poop on things. It's kind of annoying. Right there you can see it. But anywho, that's just the update. So as I've described, I've dug this down just to be just below the sidewalk. So now what I'm going to do is take and put cardboard that we've been saving down to just kind of block these roots from the trees like that from growing up into the garden area. Now the soil that I pulled out, it wasn't this. This is mainly compost and stuff that I put down last year, mixed with a little bit of dirt, but it was stuff like this, just your typical dirt soil. A lot of people would say keep it in because it's nice and dark. But the reason why I want to remove it is because it's not going to be as nutrient rich as what I'm putting down. I'm going to be putting this compost down first, this soil, which is mainly compost, in the final stages with a little bit of soil mixed in with it. It has some cardboard mixed into it that I laid down last year. But then I'm going to be putting compost back in on top of this. I have a whole bunch. And then I'm going to put wood chips on top of that, and I'll show each of the layers. But the first is the cardboard. This is the cardboard I plan on using. I'm going to tear off some of the tape and then just lay it down to keep the roots from growing up into the rich soil, because those tree roots will grow right into it. I've seen it in my other grow beds. There's one of the dinosaurs hunting worms. But that's my next step, is lay down the cardboard and then put this on top, and I'll take it to that point and then get another video going forward of that. Because they're all wide so far. Okay. Just cover it all with this stuff first, or we can smooth it second. Then I'll add compost on it almost to the top. And then once the compost is added, we'll put the wood chips on it once we pick them up today. Cheek, 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 cheek. Cheek, cheek, cheek. We're still recording. Gotta feed the worms to the chickies. Cheek, 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 cheek. Cheek, 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 cheek. Eat them right up. So I got the compost down, and now I'm ready for the wood chips. We just so happened to go to the dump and get some wood chips today. So Cache Valley did a sale on all their wood chips. I don't know how big my bed of my truck is, but supposedly this is about a cubic yard for $5. What's really nice about these is they have all of the leaves, all of the stuff mixed in with it, and they smell freaking good. This is a mixture of all sorts of trees, but this is their premium ones. It's a lot finer. There is some garbage, I've noticed, but that's kind of hard to avoid when you have lots of people dropping things off. There's a rock, but my son wants in the videos. But we're gonna move these now on top of the compost, and that will be the beginning of the garden. And then I will explain why I'm putting these down and everything in the area where I am after I get done. Look at him, he's just wanting to be a cute little boy. Wood chips are in. So as I said, I was going to explain why I'm putting them right here. So right here, edge of my roof with no gutter. Well, it's not mine, I rent, but my landlord's totally cool with this. When the water comes off of there, it's going to hit the wood chips. The wood chips will absorb only so much of that water before they can't absorb anymore. So what I'm making is kind of an artificial reservoir. During the winter, these things will soak up all the water. When I come in and plant in the fall, that's going to keep it nice and moist. I mean, not fall, in the spring. It's going to keep it nice and moist, and it will allow the plants to be able to access that water. And then any rainstorm that comes through, it's going to absorb into it. Now, this isn't that deep of wood chips, because you dig down maybe 2 inches, and then you hit the compost right here. The compost is what I'll put the plants into. Sorry, didn't realize I wasn't looking at it. So you see I have about an inch to, well, an inch and a half to 2 inches of these, and then the rest is compost down to the cardboard. And so that will give you enough that you can transplant. Potatoes works really, really great in this from what I've seen online, but you could do other plants as well. And this will keep the weeds down, but we want this to break down slowly and turn into food for the plants. But the majority of the food is already down in there. And the other thing that this does is it absorbs the water and allows the plants to not have to be watered as much. The greatest example, if you want to see how well these things absorb water, go to a children's playground and just start digging down and see how long till you get into some really, really soggy wood chips. And I chose from our dump, our municipal waste, because they have the green waste there. I just asked for the premium, and what's nice about it is it has all the leaves and all the teeny branches, so it has all kinds of stuff in it that they just grind up and turn into what they call their premium. It has a mixture of trees, so you have a wide variety of nutrients, and I'm probably going to plant my potatoes in this again next year. I might actually just go ahead and plant them this fall, because I've seen people do that, because the wood chips will insulate it and keep them from totally freezing. And then when they just feel that the ground's warm enough, they themselves will decide, hey, it's time to grow. And the people that I've seen do it get huge amount of potatoes and everything of that nature. I'm gonna do the same thing over to this bed, but I gotta dig out a lot more dirt. And then anything I have left over, it's gonna come on over to my dinosaur bin. Oh, look at them, ate it down that squash pretty good. And I'm gonna put them right up to the 2x4, maybe even a little bit higher. Just wood chips, and that will keep them from stomping through mud, and it'll keep them, their poop going right into the wood chips. And then in this fall, I'll rake them out and throw them into my next start of the compost. The downside of the wood chips is, you can see, they're fairly big. Oops. So it's going to take quite a bit of green material to break them down. But with their poop, which is high in nitrogens, and I don't think it's going to take long, especially with my mixture of coffee grounds that I put in. And coffee grounds just takes that stuff off. But this is a way that, and then I have fresh compost to put onto it. So